I'm going to let you go through this division.
Okay. So in fourth place, I know they just hired Kellen Moore as their head coach, but they're starting Spencer Rattler as their quarterback, and they drafted Tyler Shuck. And I don't even remember who their third string quarterback is. But this team is going to be absolutely horrible. They will be the worst team in the NFL at 3-14, the New Orleans Saints. I don't want to say any more about them than I have to. All right. In third place, I'm finishing at 9-8, just missing the playoffs. Bryce Young came on really strong at the end of last season. I like Ted McMillan, though if it were me, I would have drafted offensive line to protect Bryce Young. I have the Carolina Panthers. I think their defense is going to be very much improved, although I think they should have focused a little more on defense in the draft. But they just missed the playoffs at 9-8. In second place and finishing as the number 7 seed at 10-7, Baker Mayfield.
Whoa! Okay.
And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, spoiler alert, Tampa's not winning this division. I love Emeka Egbuka, the wide receiver they drafted out of Ohio State. Baker has come into his own as the starting quarterback down in Tampa, which I'm very happy about for him. I didn't want to give up on him here in Cleveland, although I had my issues with him. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are solid wide receivers when healthy. But I just think Atlanta's going to be a little bit better than them. I like Michael Penix. And that's why the Atlanta Falcons at 11-6 will capture the NFC South and the number 4 seed in the NFC.
Yeah, we cannot disagree on this division anymore besides the bottom. I have the Saints at 2-15 being the worst team in football, potentially maybe the worst team since the 0-17 Browns.
Okay, so you have them winning one less game than I do, but we agree.
I think this team will be unwatchable. They may be borderline 20-point underdogs by week 6. I mean, this may be a college football spread in the NFL. It's going to become ridiculous. This team has no talent besides an aging Alvin Kamara and an old Chris Olave. I guess Cam Jordan on defense. Whatever. This team is terrible. Their quarterbacks are Spencer Rattler and Tyler Show. Like Kellen Moore took a head coaching job because it was available. He could have stayed in Philadelphia one more year and got a better job this coming off season, but he decided to take the head coaching job a year early, and it's what he's working with. So good luck to you, Kellen. I hope you do well. I'm actually rooting for you. Okay, third place. We agree on the team. We disagree on the record. I love the way Bryce Young played last year at the end of the year. I agree with you. The problem is I'm having a hard time believing in teams in the NFC that are worse than Carolina. So I have Carolina at 6-11.
Okay.
I think that is going to be progress, though. Like, I think they're going to be in a lot of close games. They just don't end up winning them. Like, I go for the NFC, right? And I see Eagles, Commanders, Rams, Cardinals, Niners, probably Seattle, Green Bay, Detroit, Chicago, Minnesota, Atlanta, Tampa. That's borderline 10 teams, in my opinion, that are all objectively better than the Carolina Panthers. At least, maybe 12.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at with the Panthers. It's like, I like where they're at. I still think their defense needs a whole rebuild. I like their weapons. I just think they're going to be in a lot of shootouts. I don't think they're going to win as many games as you do.
Okay.
Now, this is where we vehemently disagree because it's about the quarterback. I'm not the biggest fan of Michael Penix as you are. I saw flashes at the end of last year, but I still don't trust the Falcons. And they have a lot of 50-50 games on their schedule that could go either way. Again, if Penix does a good job, I could see them winning the division or fighting for a wild card. I just don't see it. I think they are a disappointing 7-10.
Okay. So you got Tampa winning the division again.
I have them winning it easily at 10-7. And I even think you could make an argument they could go 11-5 or 11-6 or 12-5. This schedule is very manageable. I love the addition of the receiver out of Ohio State.
Mecca
Buka to go alongside Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Godwin's going to be back within the first couple of weeks of the season, it sounds like. Todd Bowles leading that defense is always very solid. I was going to say this once we got to this team, but to me, the Bucs remind me a lot of the Texans. They're in the South Division, AFC, NFC. They're in a weak division, AFC, NFC. They have a really good quarterback with a really good defense with some good weapons. They just don't have enough to make the Super Bowl. That's how I feel about both those teams.
And they play each other week 2 in Houston on Monday Night Football.
So you're more eye on Atlanta than I am. We both think the Saints obviously are going to be absolutely trash. Everybody does. I think Tampa runs away with this division. I go back to last year, Josh, in week 9, the Falcons had a 4-game lead on the Bucs. They had the 3-game lead plus they had that tiebreaker because they beat the Bucs twice, and they lost the division by 2 games. How does that happen?
I understand that. And I agree. Todd Bowles is going to have that defense flying around. And like I said, I am a big believer in Baker, but I just think Michael Penix is ready to take that next step. The Falcons have handed him the keys, and they, from what I saw, they figured it out with him offensively. They're going to move him around, and I think the Falcons win this division.
Okay, I'm going to start us off with the NFC West.
This is going to be a really interesting division. You could make an argument this is going to be the best division in the NFL. I really think you would have a strong argument.
I disagree. I actually think most of these teams are going to be down this year than most people think. I like the NFC North. I like the AFC North. I like the AFC West a lot more than this division this year.
Spoiler alert, I have 2 teams in this division going 9-8.
Okay. I hate to do this to you because they're your favorite team in the NFC, but I have Seattle.
Oh, I hate you right off the bat.
I don't get the hype around the Seahawks team. How did they win 10 games? I don't see it. I don't see it on their.
They're gonna win 10 games again.
I don't see it. I don't see Sam Darnold being an upgrade over Geno Smith. I don't see Jackson Smith and Jigba becoming a number 1 wide receiver.
What?
I don't see.
Are you crazy?
I don't see him being a legit number 1. I see him being like a Cortland Sutton, like a low end, like a high end 2, but not really a 1. I don't know if Cooper Kupp is going to stay healthy.
That's Walker, the big question mark for me.
Kenneth Walker never stays healthy. Their offensive line is not very good. And Sam Darnold's going to be playing a lot in weather. I don't love it. I don't love the fit. Mike McDonald's defense to me, I did not see the imprint in Seattle like you typically see of a defensive coach. I don't understand the Seahawks at all. I just don't. To me, the most exciting part about Seattle will be if Jalen Milroe gets in there towards the end of the year, though I doubt it.
So, before I'll let you finish your predictions in a minute. But in terms of the Seahawks, I have them going 10-7 and finishing second in the division, but not making the playoffs. But here's my thing with the Seahawks. And we both said this about Jim Harbaugh. Once Jim Harbaugh gets to year 2, that's when he starts to put his fingerprints on his teams. I think that we see the same type of thing with Mike McDonald. If you remember, once they got to year 2 with Mike McDonald, because I think he was there for 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, in Baltimore, that's when their defense really came together. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he was there for 2 seasons. But
so 2022 to 2023. So yeah, it was 2 full seasons.
Okay. So yeah, once that he got to that second season, I think you saw Baltimore's defense come together, and that's why he was a head coach target for Seattle. And I think it'll be the same thing here. Do I think it'll get to Legion of Boom levels with Bam Bam, Cam Chancellor, and Earl Thomas and Richard Sherman? No. I don't think they have that level of defense. But like I said with Jim Harbaugh, I think you will see Mike McDonald start to put his imprint on this Seahawks team.
At number 3, finishing 9-8, but missing the playoffs.
So
the San Francisco 49ers.
So you are really high on the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay? I am. I think the Niners schedule is a cupcake schedule, but there is something about the Niners that feels off. Yes, Robert Saleh is back as the defensive coordinator, but I just don't know about the young guys that they have. Obviously, outside of Nick Bosa, there's not a ton there, in my opinion. They've had to let a lot of guys go, free agency and cap situation. I think Brandon Ayuk being out the first 6 weeks is a big deal. I don't know if Ricky Pearsall is going to be able to replace the production Deebo Samuel is. George Kittle is good, but he's getting older, and they are one offensive line injury of Trent Williams away from having a bad offensive line. There's just something that feels off about San Francisco, and I don't trust the health of Christian McCaffrey for a full season either.
So I also have them finishing 9-8, but I have them in third.
Okay, well, I also have them in third, so we agree.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
In second place, at 10-7, as the number 6 seed in the playoffs, the Arizona Cardinals. Seed? The 6th seed.
Okay.
The number 6 seed, I have the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay. Where did this belief for Kyler Murray come from?
It's not even about Kyler. It's one, I think Marvin Harrison's going to have a breakout year in his second year.
God, I hope so, because he was like a no-show in his rookie season.
So there's that. There's the fact they have Trey McBride, who popped off as a top 3-ish tight end in the week last year. He's not the highest paid tight end in the NFL. And I don't think people are paying attention to what Jonathan Gannon did on that defensive side of the ball. They added Josh Sweat from my Philadelphia Eagles. They added Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss in the draft, the first-round pick. It reminds me a lot of Jordan Davis when he came out for the Eagles. They added Will Johnson, the corner out of Michigan, who was better than Barron, the guy Denver got, in my opinion. He just had an injury in college. Reportedly, he's been locking down the Cardinals receivers in training camp. And to me, he is one of the best defensive backs in the league this year. I think he has a really great year one, a lockdown corner, Jalen Ramsey-esque type year. So I think combined with the weapons they have, still have James Conner there, the defensive additions. They won 8 games last year, and to me, they improved the roster. So I really like where this Arizona team is heading.
By the way, I just switched my NFC West prediction on the fly.
Okay. And now, as the number 3 seed at 11-6,
here,
the Los Angeles Rams. I will say this. There's not a lot to say about the Rams outside of they switched Cooper Kupp for Devontae Adams, which I think is a better switch for them because Devontae is more of a boundary axe. Puka Nacua can go back to the slot. The only thing I'll say about the Rams is this. There is potential for this season to actually become a disaster. If Matthew Stafford's back injury is as bad as maybe we think / know or don't know, he didn't really throw out of balls this year in training camp. It sounds like he's going to be ready to go for week 1, but he is an older quarterback who has dealt with injuries in the past. They don't really have a great backup plan. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo is not the same quarterback he was a few years ago. So if Matthew Stafford has to miss time, I think Arizona could actually steal this division. But I'm going to go with optimism for the Rams here. Say Stafford stays healthy most of the year. They finish 11-6 and they win the division.
So, like I said, I literally just switched my NFC West predictions on the fly. So, I actually have the San Francisco 49ers finishing the last place again in this division.
Okay.
At 7-10. I don't trust Christian McCaffrey to stay healthy. He has shown an inability to do that. You got rid of Deebo Samuel. You got Brian Thomas from Washington. Whoop-de-frickin-do. You have George Kittle, but he's older. I still don't trust Brock Purdy as their starting quarterback. It wouldn't be surprising if they make a trade for a quarterback midway through the season. I don't trust this 49ers team. They made it to the Super Bowl twice, lost. They got killed by the Eagles in the NFC Championship. And I agree their schedule is cupcake, but they'll find a way to screw it up. So in third place, I wanted to put them in the playoffs so bad. I really do. Because I really like Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride. And I agree, Jonathan Gannon is making an impact on them defensively. I really wanted to. But again, it's that Kyler Marvin Harrison connection. Until I see improvement from them as a duo, I can't put the Cardinals any higher than 9-8.
That's fair.
Like, I want to have the same faith in them that you do. I really do, because I really like Kyler. I see the potential in this Cardinals team, but if they can figure out that Kyler Marvin Harrison connection, then I wouldn't be surprised. But until then, I have them at 9-8. In second place, just a little bit ahead of them at 10-7, the Seattle Seahawks.
And you have them as a playoff team or no?
No, because I have two teams from the NFC East, two teams from the NFC North, and two teams from the NFC South.
Another 10-7 team missing the playoffs out of Josh.
Yes. I believe Jackson Smith-Njigba is a number one wide receiver, but where you and I do agree is the Cooper Kupp aspect. I don't think that's much of an upgrade for the Seahawks. And like I said, I think in year two, like in Baltimore, this is where you're going to see the Seahawks defense take that next level. I like that they went offensive line with their first round pick, because we've seen in the past, they've drafted running back first round. They've drafted defense. This time they went offensive line, trying to protect Sam Darnold. But I do agree with you that the weather isn't always great in Seattle, so we'll see how he does. But I think they could go 10-7, or they could go 7-10, maybe a little bit worse. The Seahawks are one of those teams. And then finishing with the number 3 seed in the NFC at 12-5.
See him one more game better than I do.
Yes. Matt Stafford and the LA Rams. Again, I agree with you. Matt Stafford's back is the biggest. I think that's the biggest question mark in all of the NFL, actually. I really do. Is how healthy is Matthew Stafford? Because if he's fully healthy, they are a legit Super Bowl contender. But if he's not healthy, this season could go down the drain fast. And I really like their defense. Jared Verse exploded onto the scene last year. And no, I don't have Seattle making.
Oh, you're right. You don't.
I wanted to put them or Arizona in, and there's just a few teams in the NFC that I'm like, I can't put Arizona or Seattle over that. But that's my story with the Rams.
All right. There you go. There's the official graphic.